time, so I can see two students. Fine, cool. So yeah, last time we had seen about anonymous functions, right? We had seen how we create anonymous functions. So that is lambda functions, right? So I mean, I'll go through it once more. But do you guys have any doubt, like before that, whatever we have taken? So in the whole functions, I think functions was very important. That's why last time we did some practice questions as well on the same topic. So do you guys have any questions about that? Or let's just take a quick recap of anonymous functions. I mean, that's a very small topic. We saw some examples last time, but probably we can take those examples again and try to see better what anonymous functions are. So if you guys have any questions in the either the previous sessions of functions, whatever we have taken, nested functions or whatever returning from functions or passing parameters into the functions, so you can just put it on the group or you can ask me during the sessions also. So let me quickly share my screen and share the PPT, and we can go through anonymous functions once. Okay, so yeah, anonymous functions, like they were functions which are defined without a name. So mostly we use anonymous functions when we have only a small logic in our function. So whenever we write a function, there is a certain lines of code, right? Certain logic that we try to put inside that function. So in case of anonymous functions, you have only one line of code. That's why you use anonymous functions. So it saves you the effort of writing the whole function structure, and only with one line of this the whatever the code is, whatever expression you have, which is just one line, that also gets executed very quickly. So there's one more advantage of using anonymous functions, that is that they run really quick. Like if you try to write a function, a normal a def function, and if you write a lambda function, and if you try to compare the runtime of both the functions, right? So if you try to compare how much time it took for a certain function to complete, like it will internally it will take some time, right? For you it might happen very fast because the time is very less. It's like in fractions of millisecond, maybe very small time that you won't understand that it's executing, something is executing. Before you can blink your eyes, the answer comes on the screen. But internally it does take a small time, like at least in milliseconds or less than milliseconds, but some amount of time it takes to process the code and to give you the output, right? So if you compare this for both the normal function and the lambda function, then you can find out that for the same lines of code, like if you have a function which gives you like addition of two numbers, and if you write a lambda function which will do that, so if you try to execute both of them, you can find out that lambda function take very less time as compared to the normal functions. So that is also one of the reasons why you can use anonymous functions instead of the normal functions, wherever the lines of code are very limited, where you have like one line of code, that's it. So yeah, so they are also called lambda functions that we saw last time, and we saw the syntax of using lambda functions. You can give multiple arguments to a lambda function, but your expression is only going to be one. You can only execute one expression. So if you want to like add three or four numbers, so you can give those four numbers as argument to the lambda function, because there's no restriction on the number of arguments. You can give as many number of arguments as you want, but the expression should be one. So that's the condition. Yeah, and yeah, we saw how lambda functions are used for higher order functions. So again, higher order functions are the functions which take another function as a parameter. So this we saw last time, right, where we saw functions which take another functions as parameters. So we saw two examples. One was in that case, a function, a higher order function used to take another normal function, like the function created using def keyword as a parameter. And the second case we saw, where the higher order functions used to take lambda functions as the parameter. So two examples that we saw of higher order functions taking lambda functions as parameter was filter and map function, right? So filter and map functions are higher order functions because they take in another function as a parameter. So let me just go and to the Spydroid and just try to show a few more things about lambda functions. So consider you have a lambda function, say a is equal to lambda, and then you have the arguments, whatever you want to pass to it. So let's say I just have one argument, and all I'm doing is I'm just squaring that argument. So for square, I'm just multiplying that argument with itself, so we get the square of that number. So if I'm giving 5 as the argument, so I'll get 5 into 5, 25 as the answer, which is the square of that number. So now I have this a, right? So like what this lambda thing returns, I mean, this is what I'm trying to show. What this lambda function, this lambda syntax returns is a function. Okay, you can test that by using type. I'm just going to use type and check what is the type of the whatever is the output of this lambda definition that we have given. So like we can see here that it's a function. Okay, which means whatever we have done here, whatever this lambda x, this small syntax is, it returns a function only, right? So that's why it's called a lambda function, and this function has to be saved in some other place, right? So that's why we use a variable to store this lambda function, lambda x, x into x. Okay, so yeah, so now if I check the type of a, it will again give me a function because I've stored whatever function is returned by using this lambda definition. Whatever is returned using this lambda definition, which we just saw is a function, right? We saw the type of whatever was returned by this lambda definition, right? So it returns a function, so that we have stored in a. So a should also ideally represent a function. So if I check the type of a, it again says a function. Okay, once that gets stored in a, instead of using any of this, I can just directly use a to execute that function as many number of times as I want. So if I say a of 4, so this should return 16, right? So again, now this lambda function which gets stored in a, this is returning the value. Okay, what value does it return? It returns the value of the expression. Whatever expression you have given as a part of the lambda definition, that would be returned from this lambda function, right? So if I say a of 4, right? So a of 4 is going to return the value of 4 into 4. A of 4 is going to return the value of 4 into 4. So that needs to be saved at some place, right? If some function is returning a value, when you call that function, you need to store that whatever value gets returned from the function into a variable so as to use it, right? So in this case, I'll just say a of 4. So here a is the function that is basically a lambda function, and you're passing 4 as the parameter, and a of 4 will return the value of 4 into 4 because that is my expression, x into x. So this will get returned, and whatever gets returned is being stored here. I'm storing it into this ans variable. So here ans variable will store 16 as the value. If you print it, you'll get 16 as the value. Okay, this was one of the things that we saw. Then we saw some of the inbuilt higher order functions like filter and map, right? So let's just take filter one more time. So yeah, so what we used to do is we used to say list of filter, and here in filter, so first I have to create a list, some kind of list I have to create. Just say 12, 3, just a mix of even and odd numbers. And 22. Okay, so I have three odd and two even numbers. So again, I want my filter function. So what does filter function do? It will filter the list that you provide it, and it will filter it using the constraints that you provide via the function. So you're going to pass a function and a list to the filter function. Okay, it is going to take the list, it is going to execute the given parameter function on the list, and it is going to filter the list according to whatever constraint is being put forward by the function. Okay, so if I have a lambda function that returns whether the function that returns whether the given parameter is even or not. Okay, so this returns true. This lambda function will return true if the number is even, right? X mod 2 is equal to 0, which means if the number given past number is even number, then this will return true. Okay, so that is my lambda function, and the second I am going to pass the list. So whatever this function is, wherever it returns true, whatever point in the list this returns true, or for whatever elements in the list this returns true, okay, that will only be given back in the filtered list, right? So here in this case in Li, only the even numbers will be given as the filtered list. Yeah, so I have only 12 and 22 in the final list because I have written the function as such. If I remove this is equal to and write not is equal to, which means now it is going to return, this lambda function is going to return true if the number is odd, right? If the number is odd, that is if x mod 2 is not equal to 0, then this lambda function is going to return true, right? So wherever it returns true, that would be the constraint which the filtered list needs to follow. So in this case, if x mod 2 is not equal to 0, if I run this lambda function as a part of filter, then the list will be filtered to have only odd numbers, because it will check, the filter function will check 12 and pass 12 inside the lambda function. Okay, 12 mod 2 is equal to 0, so this will return false, and a list will move on to the next one. Then again 3, right? So 3 will be passed inside the lambda function. 3 mod 2 is not equal to 0, so here the lambda function will return true, right? So this value will be considered into the final filtered list. So similarly for 45 and 9, these three values in total will be considered in the filtered list, because at that point lambda will return true value. So yeah, so we have three final elements in our filtered list. Okay, one more thing over here. So here we are putting a list right outside of filter. That is because a filter returns an iterable object. Okay, so what iterable object means is you can't directly print this. If you try to directly print this, it will say just filter object, right? So if you want to print the individual elements of this filter, then you have to iterate it, which means you have to do, or you have to run a for loop for all the elements in f. Okay, that is what an iterable means. Iterable means you can iterate it. Okay, you have to iterate it on in order to get the value. Iterate is basically run through each of the elements present, right? Iteration of like if I have a list and I have to iterate the elements of the list, this would mean I have to run a loop so that all the elements of the list are like executed. For example, if for I in Li, if I do this, then I am iterating the list, because I'm going through each and every element present in the list. So similarly, if my filter function will return an iterable as in I have to iterate it in order to get the values from it, and iterating it by using for loop. So I just say for I in f, print I. If I do this, then it will return the same value 3, 45, 9. But if I like, if you see here, it's not returned as a list, it's returned as separate values on single lines, right? If you want to create a list out of all the values present in f, in this iterable f, then that's why I'm using list. right? So this iterable will get converted to list. So that means whatever values are present in this f iterable, that is whatever values are present in this f here, that I was initially iterating through a for loop and printing all the elements, that will get added to a list, and then I can directly print the list instead of using a for loop to print all the elements present in it. So I'll just say directly printf, and all the values get printed. Okay, so is this clear for everyone? Should we move ahead?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, let's move ahead. Um, so today first we will, before going to main function, right, let's just try to see one more topic. Okay, we'll see Python modules first before going to the main function. So now that we know how to write functions, right? We have written functions and we have used the functions as well. But there can be cases wherein you have multiple usage of a function. Like if I say add function, right? If I write an add function, so that this add function might be used at multiple places, right? It means like if you have written an add function today, then probably later on in your other files, in your other code, you might require the same add function. Okay, so then basically let's just go and check for an example only directly. Okay, so I have an add function which adds two numbers that are provided to it, and it returns whatever is the addition of two numbers provided to it. Right. Right. So if I want to execute this add in the same file, I just need to call add. That's it, right? I just need to call add, and I need to give it whatever are the required parameters, and that's it. This is it. This is how to use a function in the same file. Okay. Now I am probably this file is done, and then I go again to another file some 2 or 3 months later, and I want to write some other code, right, which also requires an add function. So now every time I create a new file, wherever add is required, I have to write the add function again and again, right? So in order to save that, in order to save rewriting the code, what we can do is whatever functions you have written in one file, or whatever code you have written in one file, either that's functions or whatever variables that you are using in one file, that you can access in a different file as well. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So in order for any code to be used in another file, that code is basically called a module. So if I say this, if I name this file, I'll just save it in one of the folders. I'm just going to call it calculator module, or calculator directory. Okay, so this is one folder I have created, and over here I'm just going to paste this operations.py. Okay, so now this operations.py file will have all the operations that are required in a calculator, which is basically add, subtract, multiply, divide, all of those. Then you have multiply, and then you have divide. So what I'm going to do now is that once I have stored these functions at one point, I don't, if even if I require these functions at some other, in some other file, I don't have to rewrite those functions. I can directly use it in this other files as well. So I'm just going to save this operations.py. Okay, it's called operations.py. You can note down the name. Now here in this case, if I want to if I'm just taking two numbers from the user and I want to add those two numbers, right? So I ideally, I mean, if you are not importing this operations, like if you are not using the earlier written code, then what I'll do is I'll just write one more addition function here, right, which would be like rewriting of which would be like a redundant effort. I'm writing the same function twice. So what I'm going to do is the functions that I have mentioned in this operations.py file, I'm going to reuse those in my this new file. So in the new file, I'm just going to take two inputs from user. Okay. So now after taking two numbers, so let me try to add those two numbers without writing a function. So before doing that, if I'm planning to reuse this operations file, I need to make sure that my new file and operations file are, I mean, I'm able to navigate the operations file from my new file, which means my new file should be able to find out the part2 operations.py file. That is required because I'm using the functions of this file, right? So the compiler should know where this file is present. If the compiler doesn't know where this file is present, it won't be able to, even if you give the name of the file, it won't be able to find out where is that file. So let me just save this in the same folder. So I'll go to Python's directory and calculator directory, and I'll just save this saying calc.py, something like that. Okay. Now both my operations and calc are in the same folder. So now what I can do is I can directly go and say import operations. Okay, so when I say import operations, it will import operations.py. Importing, like basically, this will become like a module. A module is nothing but all the functions and statements that you have written that you want to import in some other file and reuse it, right? So basically, any Python file is a module, right? Wherever you have defined a function and the variables, that is a module, right? And if you want to reuse these same functions and variables in some other file, like in this case, I want to reuse the functions written in operations.py file in calc.py. So I have to import the module. Okay, I have to import the module, and I can import that using the name of the file, right? So I can say import operations. Okay, now I will just say, let me just say ans is equal to, now here operations I have said, but there are several functions inside operations, right? There is add, subtract, multiply, divide. So if you want any specific function, then you have to specify it in your new file. So you have to say operations is just the name of the file, the name of the module, but you will have to specify whatever function or whatever variable is required from that file that you want to reuse in your current file, using dot and whatever variable or function name. So if I have four functions here in this operations.py file and I want to use any of these, I in my file where I want to use these, I'll say the name of the module, that is operations dot whatever function or variable you require. So I'll just say add in this case, check once, num2, going to print the answer. So, it is giving me the proper answer. Yeah, so in this case, I did not have to rewrite the add function. I could directly use the add function that I had written in some different file by importing that file in my current file. Okay, so import operations, this is the way you import it. This is the way you import a specific file. Okay, so let's just go back and check the PPT. Okay, Python modules. It is a file containing Python definitions and statements. So definitions means functions and statements means any variable. So if I have two variables in this operation file, say 1 is equal to 10, but 2 is equal to 13. Okay, and I'm just saving it. Now the same I can use in calc.py as well. I just have to say operations, which is the name of the module, dot whatever variable I require. So if I say var1, then this 10 will be printed in this case. Let's see. Yeah, so 10 got printed right after 44. So yeah, so you can either have statements or you can have definitions. Definitions means functions, statements means variables. So you can have those in a file. You can also have classes in a file. Now we haven't yet touched classes. I'm just giving you this information. Later on we will see what classes are. But if you have any of these functions, classes, or any statements, that is variables, then you can Python file can be reused. It can be reused as a module. A module can define functions and variables. Grouping related code into module makes it easier to understand. So what this means is whenever you're creating a module, the code in that module should be related. Like in this case, I had a module which had all the operations that are mostly required, like when you're dealing with numbers, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So having all these four functions into one module made sense, because probably when if someone else is using this module, then they are dealing with numbers as well, and they will require like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay, so whenever you're creating a module, the functions that you are writing as a part of that module must have some connection. It should be a part of something, right? So yeah, this is one example of all the operations that you can have on numbers into one module. So yeah, this is it. And the file name is the module name with suffix dot py, which means whenever you are importing a module, you have to import it using the module name, right? So module name would be nothing but the file name minus dot py, right? Module name is just operations here, while the file name is operations dot py. So the module name is going to be the name of the file minus dot py. Whatever is there in that file name, exclude dot py from the file name, and that is the name that you will use for importing that module into some other file. The statements will be executed only once when the module is imported. Okay, I'll tell you what this means. So when you're importing something, when you're importing another module, okay, in this case, what will happen is these statements, right? Anyway, you know that when you're running a file, the functions don't get called unless you specifically call those functions, right? Unless I specifically say add, subtract, multiply, or divide, these four things are not going to get executed. Only when I say add is this addition going to be called, right? So whatever is there in this file, right? So at this point we just have two variables and four functions, right? And the four functions are anyway not going to get executed until the function name is specified. So when I say import operations, whatever is present in this file gets executed, which means whatever executable code is present in this file gets executed. So which means this var1 and var2 will get initialized because that is present at the start, and these four functions will be defined, right? In this case, if I go here in operations and say add of 20 and 30, okay, so I'll save this. Now when I import operations and I try to add two numbers in this file, okay, operations. Yeah, I have to print it, sorry. My bad. Yeah. I'm just going to save this, go back and print it. Yeah, so now you can see before even enter first number, I have 50 printed out. Why is 50 printed out? Because whenever you are importing a module, right, whatever code is present in this file gets executed, right? So these two things got executed, four function definitions got executed, and after that, I had this print at 20 comma 30, right? This also got executed before coming to the next file. So at this point itself, wherever I imported the earlier file, wherever I imported the operations file, at this point, the whole operations.py file will get executed first, and then the control will come to the calc.py file. So whatever code you have in this file, if even if you had like three print statements or some, whatever you have in this file, even if I have like an if statement, for loop, whatever, that will get executed first, and then the control will come to your calc.py class. Okay, so yeah, the statement will be executed only once when the module is imported. Again, once it gets imported, right? Once this is imported, that is it. That is only the one time where the whole operations.py file will get executed. After that point, it nothing will get executed unless you specifically call a function name. Okay, unless you specifically call any function of operations, any function or any variable of operations file, nothing will get executed. So the execution of the whole operations.py file or any other module that you're trying to import is done when the import statement is called, when this import gets called, right? And this is done only one time. After this operations file is executed, the control will come to your calc.py file, and only when any of the function or any of the variables of operations file is called, at that point the control will go back to the operations file and execute whatever function is that you are intending to execute. And a bunch of modules in a directory is a package. Okay, so now what we did was we created one module file, right? We just created one module file as a package. Okay, so we just created one module file as a package. Okay, so you can create the, yeah. So in this directory, if I have multiple files which are used as modules, okay, if I have multiple files which are used as modules, right now I'm just using operations.py as module, right? But if I have multiple files that I'm using as modules which just contain code that can be imported in some other file, then that directory would be called as a package. Okay, so we'll see that as well. Okay, next is import statement. So we saw just now how an import statement can be used. It can be used while importing a function. Yeah. Can be used while importing a function. And yeah, this is it for now. Let's just go back. So now let's try to see how to import any module from a package. Okay, so we just saw what is a package. Like if you have multiple modules in one directory, then that directory would be called as a package, right? So let's go back and check how to import modules from a package. Let me just clear this out first. Okay, so I'll go back here and I'll create a folder called again. Here I'll create a folder called mm, let's say data modification, something like that. I'll just say data modification modifiers, data modifiers, something like that. Okay, so I have my data modifiers folder. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create two modules. So I'll say new, and this one would be modifying strings. Okay. So I have this two uppercase, which means whatever string you pass will be converted to uppercase. I think we saw one example of this last time, right? You can just say dot upper. So I'll just say str dot upper. This is one function, then two lowercase. And I'll just say return str dot lower. Okay. So these are the two string modifiers, and we can add one more, I guess. We can add two strings. So I'll just say append function, append underscore strings. And you have to provide the first string and you have to provide the second string. So you have the f string, that is the final string, to be str1 plus and space plus str2. So if you have two words and if you want to make like one string out of those two words, so you can do that. So like fruit and basket. So if I just say fruit and basket, then it will print fruit space basket for me. That would be the final string for me. Return f str. So I have these three. For now, let's just keep it as three. I'll save these in the folder that I created. Data modifiers folder. And I'll say str modifiers. Same. Okay. Similarly, I'll create one more called, maybe I'll say list modifiers this time. Okay. So what can we do with the list? We can get the largest number in the list, maybe. Yeah, we can do that, right? There's a max function to do that, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, we can use the max function. So I'll just say get max num from list. So you have a list and it will return the max number from the list. Return max list. Similarly, I'll say one more get min list. Min num, sorry. Can return min of list. Okay, so let's just have two only for now. And I'm going to save them in the same folder because I want to create a package of that folder. And a package will have modules that can be reused in some other files. So see, if you can see, like everything is making sense here. Like I have a package called data modifiers, which will basically modify the data, and in that I have two modules called string modifiers and list modifiers. And those string modifiers and list modifiers, only like from the name itself you can find out like what is the function of these files, right? String modifiers will modify the strings and list modifiers will modify the list. So like you basically have to name it as such so that anyone who's looking into the code and sees the name, they should be able to understand from the name itself what is the function of this particular file or this particular module. So yeah, so we have two two modules in one package. So one more thing, in order to convert any package, right, into in order to convert any directory into a package, what you need to do is you need to add another file. So this file does not contain any content as such, but it is necessary in order to like convert a directory into package. Okay, without this probably the modules won't work properly inside your package. So this is called as, I'll just again go, it is supposed to be in the same folder as your other modules. So we had two modules present in data modifiers folder. So this is the point where this new file is supposed to be. It does not need to have any content. You can have configuration content in it, but for now, let's just keep it empty. So it's called underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. Okay, so here, as you can see, there is no content as such, but whenever you want to create a package out of a directory, at that point you will have to keep this init file inside the directory. So this will tell Python that it is a package. Okay, this is what converts a directory into a package, right? If you have init underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py in your directory, then that will Python will understand that this is a package. Okay, so what is the difference between a directory and a package is, in a like if you have some content into a package, right? Now in this case, I have two modules inside the package. Then I can import that package in a different file. So now let me just create one more file. Just go back. Okay, and this is like my test file. Test file. So first, I'm going to save this file somewhere. So maybe let me just save it in this week 8 materials folder only and just name it as test file.py. File.py. Okay. Now, if I want to import the string modifiers into this file, right? So initially what we did was we just used to say import and module name, right? But in this case, I have my module inside a package. I have a package, and inside that package, I have a module, right? So in that case, what I'll do is I'll say from package name import module. Okay, this is the syntax that you will use, from package name import module. So let's see, from package name, and my package name is data modifiers, right? So from data modifiers import str modifier. Let me just cross check the name once. Data modifiers and str modifiers. Okay, both of them have modifiers. Okay, so yeah, so this should work. So now I have from data modifiers. So this would be a package name. So if it is just a directory, you can't use it like this. Once you have converted a directory into a package, then you can use it in a Python file saying from the package name import certain module. Okay, so yeah, so you have from data modifiers import str modifiers. Now if I take if I can directly call one of those files, one of those methods inside str modifiers. So again, now I have the file name, I have the module name, but in order to call any specific function of that module, I have to use a dot, right? Dot, and let's say to uppercase. And okay, so I have this word mangoes, which I want to convert into uppercase. So instead of writing the function here, I have a package which is basically used for modifying data. The only purpose of this package is to have code in order to modify some data. And in that package, I have two files. One is a module to modify the strings, and the second is the module to modify lists. Okay, so I have two modules inside one package, and this is my file wherein I am using this module str modifiers from this package data modifiers in order to modify some string, in order to modify string, which is basically I'm using one function that is defined inside str modifiers, which is present inside this data modifiers package. So I just run this and you have mangoes all written in caps, right? So this is what you do when you want to import any module from a package. If you want to import only one specific this modules from the package. Now there are two ways of importing any module from a package. Either you can use from data modifiers import str modifiers, or you can just use import data modifiers dot str modifiers. So this was basically like import package name dot module name. Okay. But in this case, wherever you are using any function of the module, right? So in this case, I have used two uppercase, right? Which is a function present in str modifiers module. But at every point where you are referring to a module, you have to add the package name along with it. So it will be modifiers, data modifiers dot str modifiers dot two uppercase, because it is importing data modifiers dot str modifiers, right? So this thing it is importing whatever you are importing. In order to access anything inside of that, you will have to use this whole thing, data modifiers dot str modifiers dot two uppercase. So if I run this, sorry, data, I just wrote data. So yeah, so these are like different ways of doing the same thing. So you can go with whatever is more efficient for you, whatever works for you. So this works as the same way. Now, if you don't want to use this whole big name, so what you can do is you can create an alias for it. Alias as in you can create a short form for this big thing. Okay, so I'll just say import this package dot the module name as DS. Let's just call it DS because you have data modifiers dot str modifiers, right? So now this data modifiers dot str modifiers gets imported, but instead of using data modifiers dot str modifiers whenever you want to use it, you can use DS instead. So I can just say, instead of this whole thing writing this big thing, I can just say DS dot get upper two uppercase, sorry, two uppercase. Mangoes. And the same thing gets executed. So this is another way. Again, for from also you can use this alias can be used wherever you are importing. So even if I'm using from like from keyword in order to import the package first, import str modifiers, can just say as s. That's it. This will also work. So if I do this, now I have alias as s, right? So wherever str modifiers was required, I can just use s instead of writing the whole str modifiers. So I can just say s dot to uppercase, and this should work as well. Yeah. Okay. So is everything clear till here? Any questions or anything to be repeated till here? I can see some people joining right now. So in case if you want me to repeat any concept again, you can like tell me in case you have missed something. Okay, so we have seen how to import a single file from a package, right? This is what we have seen, how to import a single file from package. So let's see how to import two files from the same package. So in the same way, like you have imported this one file, right? Similarly, you can import another file as well. You can say from data modifiers import list modifiers. Okay, so as L adds in. So let's go and create a list. Okay, so I have four elements in the list. So now I'm going to call the function in my list modifiers module to get the maximum of the list. What is the max function of the list? So let me go and check once what is the name of the function. Okay, so that is get max num. So let's just come back here and print. So now I use L instead of S because I have a different alias for list modifiers. S was the alias for str modifiers, this module. Now I have L as the alias for list modifiers module. So I'll just say L dot get max num, get max num, and I'm going to pass list here. So let's see. You get 64, which is the maximum of the list. So this is one way. So now instead of like importing, like if I know that I have to import everything from a package, or yeah, so okay, fine, this is cool. So what we can do next is, what if I want to import a specific function from the package? So till now what we have seen is, I'll just note it down for easier reference. Okay. We have seen how to import a single module from package. First, we have seen how to import a single module. Then we saw import a single module from package. Then third, we saw importing two modules from a package, right? This is all we covered, right? And then, yeah, that is it, I think. And then we saw alias, how to use alias. Okay. So now what I'll do is, instead of so now here, if you can notice that whenever I have to use a function from any of my modules, I have to keep on writing dot dot, right? Like module name dot function name, all the places. So next what I'll do is, if I know I have to use only one specific function, then instead of importing everything from a module, I can only import one specific function. Okay, so I'll say from. So now just look at the syntax what I'm doing. I'm going to import, let me just write it here. Import one specific function from a module in the package. So I'm going to import one specific function from a module in a package. So what I'm going to do is, from package name dot module name import function name. Package dot module import function. This is the syntax that I'm going to use. Initially, when I was just importing a module, which was basically me trying to import all the functions present in the module, I used to do from package import function, module, right? So this will, what will this do? From package import module, it will import everything, right? It will import all the, basically all the functions and all the variables will can be used in your current file. Okay, but if you want to use only one specific thing, one specific function or one specific variable, then you can use from package dot module import the function name. And in case it's a variable, you can use from package dot module import variable. Okay, so in this case, it will be data modifiers dot str modifiers import get, sorry, two uppercase, right? Two upper case. Okay, in now in this case, since I'm just importing one function, I can directly use it. I can without using any dot over here, without including the module name or the package name. Can directly use the function name and use that function. So to uppercase mangoes. So yeah, again the same thing happened. So this is when you want to just when you know you want to use only one function. If you are not sure if you're going to require all the functions or just one function, then in that case you can import the whole module as is imported here. And again you can use an alias over here as well. So the same thing, right? From data modifiers dot str modifiers. If I'm importing to uppercase, but I want to give it a name so that instead of writing to uppercase, I can use a small this acron a small alias for it. So I just say UC, and I can go here and change this to UC, and same it will execute properly. Okay, this is one way, and the other way of so now in case I want to import, so now what we saw was importing a specific function. Import specific function from a module. Okay. Now, what if I want to import all the modules present in a package, right? So, in this case, I was importing every single module present in the package individually, right? In order to import all the modules present in the package, so you will just go here and I'll say, so either you can directly use import data modifiers. Okay, so I'm directly importing it as we had imported the module. In this case, I'm importing the package, and I let me just use the get max function and try this time. Okay, so in order to use that function to get the max value from a list which is present in list modifiers module, I'll say data modifiers dot list modifiers, right, dot get max now, right? So here you can see first is the package name, first is the package name, followed by the module name, followed by the function name, max num. I know this is all a little confusing, but it's very simple. So, like, if you're confused between the different variants that we saw today, you can go and check the video later on at your own pace and try to like execute it alongside so that you will understand how simple it is. So, like, all these are different ways of doing the same thing. It's just that like you need to know when to import a package, when to import a whole package, or when to import only few modules in a package, or only few functions inside a module. So yeah, so this is what I'm executing, this get max num function from list modifiers module. Just print the answer. So data modifiers has no attribute. Okay. 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 Okay, it seems you can't do this for packages. So you can't directly use import for packages. You will have to use from package name import the module name. Okay, so now in order to import everything, I can do is from data. Let me just check if this works. From data modifiers, import star. Okay, import star means import everything that is present there. Let me check this. No, still no. Data modifiers list modifiers.py. Okay, yeah, got it. Okay, in order to import more than one module from a package, you will have to list those separately. So you'll have to say modifiers. But instead of writing the whole thing again, you can just use a comma and get the second module name. So this should work. Yeah, it works. Okay, this is when you want to import multiple modules from one package. Okay. Okay, and let me just show you how the star works. So star is actually not required here, but let me just show you anyway. Modifiers import. Let's say from data modifiers.str modifiers import star. Okay, so what we have seen before is we used from package dot this package dot module import a specific function. This is what we have seen earlier, right? Like if I want to get the two uppercase function, I'll just use two uppercase, this one, and then I can use two uppercase without using any module name associated with it. Directly use the two uppercase name. So I can directly use here print to uppercase mangoes. But in case you want to import all the functions that are present in str modifiers, so and use them without using str modifiers dot function name. So here instead of just using a comma, two lowercase, and whatever was the third function, so third function, so instead of like writing all these functions over here with a comma, what you can do is you can just say import star. So star will import all the functions that are present in this module, and you can use those functions without using str modifiers dot, right? So here, just as I've used two uppercase, you can use two lowercase as well, even though I haven't explicitly mentioned it while importing. I've just mentioned a star while importing, and I can use all the functions that are present inside str modifiers module. Two lowercase. Yes. Great. Yeah, so you have it in lowercase now. Right? So is this clear, everyone? Clear till here? Anyone wants me to repeat any concept? No? Okay.
Guys, please speak up if you have any doubts. Alternatively, you can reply in the chat also. Tariq and Priya, I need to drop off for a few minutes. I just have a short meeting. I'll join
All
back.
right, sure, Shine.
Okay, Sai.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next concept now. So this, okay, this is what I wanted to show you. And there's one more thing. So I'll just erase this all and come back again. Messy. So whenever we have any Python file, right? So if I open this file, say, I'm opening one of the modules that we created. So in data modifiers, let me just open string modifiers. Okay, so I'm opening one of these files, right? So what I'm going to print here is this global variable underscore underscore name underscore underscore. So this underscore underscore name is basically a global variable. Okay, so you don't have to declare it. So whenever you are creating a .py file, this underscore underscore name underscore variable will by default get set. Okay, whenever a py file is created internally at the back, there are certain variables that are present which you are not aware of. Like you only create user defined variables, right? But there are certain variables that get created in the backend, just as this underscore underscore name underscore, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to print this. Okay, so what happens is if I'm using this file, right, if I'm using this str modifiers module in some other file, right, I'm importing this as a module in some other file. In that case, this underscore underscore name underscore gets stored as it gets stored as a basically the module name will get stored in this particular variable. Okay, so again I'm telling, so you have this str modifiers file, which is a module which I'm using as a module in my different in a separate file. So let's see, let's open that file as well. Yeah, in this test file, right? So I'm going to import this from data modifiers dot str modifiers, right? Okay, import str modifiers, right? So from this data modifiers package, I'm importing str modifiers. I'll just save this. And here I am going to print this. So as we discussed before, right, whenever an import statement is executed, whenever this import statement will get executed, whatever is present in str modifiers will get executed first. Whatever code is present in this file will get executed whenever import is executed along with that file name, right? So at this point, at line number 3, where import str modifiers is written, at that point this the whole file will get executed, and we have this print statement over here. So when this str modifiers will get imported, at that point print name will first get executed. Okay, line by line the whole file will get executed, but since the functions are not called, I mean the functions are not executed unless you call them by name. These functions will be defined in the memory, but they won't be called yet. But if you have any other print statement or variables or if else conditions in the file, so those will get executed when the file is imported. So yeah, so at this point, what I'm trying to say is when this file gets executed, you will see that underscore underscore name underscore will be printed. Okay, so even though you did not define this underscore underscore name underscore variable, but this is like a predefined variable. Whenever a .py file gets created, this variable will get defined internally at the back, right? So you won't probably understand, you won't probably know that this variable has been executed in the backend, but it does get executed. Okay, and you can check the value of this variable. So let me just go here and execute this test file. So here you can see data modifiers dot str modifiers, right? This is what the value is present in underscore underscore name underscore. So this particular variable has a name of, holds the name of data modifiers dot str modifiers. So what this means is wherever this name is used, right? So whenever a name is used, I mean whenever a python file is created, so this name variable gets the value of the module of that file. Okay, so as we saw, so like this is a bit tough to understand probably. So what we'll do is we'll just like instead of putting that module inside a package, I'll just show you in a separate file only, like a module without a package. So I'll just go here and create one more module, but I'll save this outside of the package. So this will be just a module, this won't be a module inside of a package. operations. Okay, so I'll save it here itself. I'll use the same calc operations dot py, and I'll make it have the add and subtract functions, just two for now. Okay, so I have two functions here. Okay, I have two functions here in this calc operations.py file. And before execution of those two functions, before those two functions get defined, I'm going to see what is present in underscore underscore name underscore underscore for this particular file. So I'll save this and I'll go to test file. And now instead of importing this from the module, I'll directly import the module which is present outside of the package. So in order to import any module that is present outside of the package, I just have to use the module name. I don't have to use the package name along with it. So I'll just say import calc operations. Again, that underscore underscore py underscore underscore sorry underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py file, right, that we had created while creation of a package, that is only required when you are creating a package. If you are individually creating modules and using them, then that's not required. If you have a package, if you want to create a package, then only you require this init.py file, or else you don't require it. So now I have this calc operations.py which has two functions, and before defining those two functions, it will first print the name variable. So when I import it in test file.py and I try to run this, so it says calc operations, right? So what it does is this name underscore underscore name underscore underscore variable will hold the module name. So in this case, my module name was calc operations, right? That's why this print, this name variable here holds the value calc operations. Okay. But if I try to print name here in this file, it will print main. I'll tell you why. So if I try to print name, this name variable, so as we discussed, this name variable will be called or will be created internally whenever a file gets created, whenever a py file gets created. So every time a py file gets created in the backend, this name variable will be stored somewhere. This name variable will get created and be stored. You can access it by calling that variable and check its value. So I'll just check the value of this. So here you have the value underscore underscore main underscore underscore, right? So the difference is whenever you are running a particular file, okay, whatever file you are running at this point, whatever file that I have hit the run button on, that file, in that file, this name variable will hold a value of underscore underscore main. Okay, so since I'm running this file, I'll have name variable stored as underscore underscore main underscore underscore, and whatever files you have imported, right, whatever file you have imported, when this is imported, when calc operations is imported, this gets run internally, right? So this calc operations, even though you are importing it over here, it will internally get run. Okay, so you did not want to run calc operations, you were planning to run test file, but your test file has imported calc operations. So this calc operations will be run internally, right? Whenever import statement is found, Python will run whatever you are importing, that module will get run from the start to the end, right? So whatever you are importing, okay, that file will have a name of module name. So here underscore name will have the module name, whatever is the module name. Okay, but the file that you are currently running, okay, the file that you are intending to run, on which you have clicked the run button on, that file will have underscore underscore main as the value, right? So if I go to calc operations, so this was when I had a test file which imported calc operations, right? So at this point I have a test file. So my test file, so this name variable, right, is present for every file, right? Every file will have a name variable. So the file that I'm currently running is test file. So the file that I'm currently running, that file will have a name variable of main, and whatever files I'm importing, those files will have variable as the module name. Okay. So again, you can see here I'm importing calc operations. So the name variable for calc operations file is calc operations, because that is the module name. But for test file.py, since I'm currently on test file.py and I'm running test file.py, this particular variable name for test file.py would be main. So if I go back here, and now instead of running test file.py, I am executing calc operations. So at this point, calc operations is not getting imported, but I am running calc operations. Okay, I am clicking the run button on calc operations.py. So if I do this, so here you can see this print name, right? At this point, instead, because I'm running calc operations, instead of importing it in some other file, this name variable became underscore underscore main. See, right? So once more, I'll just revise it. So whenever we are executing a certain file, first of all, every file that you create, every .py file that you create will have an underscore underscore name underscore variable associated with it. Even if you have not defined it, internally it gets defined, right? Internally, whenever a Python file is created, there is an underscore underscore name underscore underscore variable associated with that Python file. Okay, so then when you are executing a Python file, right, let me just, yeah, comment it out. So whenever I'm running any Python file, that particular, the name variable for that particular Python file would be underscore underscore main, right? So it will be underscore underscore main. It will be underscore underscore main for whatever file you're currently running. And if you are importing any other module, so this module is also a Python file, right? So with this module, there will be an underscore underscore name underscore variable associated. With every file that you import or every module that you import, there will be underscore underscore name underscore variable associated, right? So that particular variable, so in this case, I since I'm importing calc operations, the underscore underscore name underscore variable in calc operations will hold the module name of that particular file. Okay, whatever is the module name of that file will be held inside this underscore underscore name that gets imported. Okay, is this clear, everyone? Okay, so let me just go ahead. If any question, anyone has any question, you can ask me. Okay. So now, since I've created two functions in calc operations, I'll just save this once more. Save. Okay, so yeah, so now I'm just going to like do some processing here, and like this is my first file. Okay, this is the file that I am intending to add and subtract two numbers in. So I'll just say num1 is equal to, I'll take two input from the user, the usual drill, right? Taking two inputs from the user, enter the first number. The second number. Okay, so yeah, I'm taking two numbers and I'm going to use these add and subtract functions on it. So I'll say add, or I'll say f add, which is like final add or something. So I just call add function num1 and num2, and f subtract is is equal to subtract function. Okay. Num2. Right. And then I'm going to print the value of add and subtract. So I'm just going to say print f add and print f subtract. Okay, so let's just execute this. So this was my main file where I'm intending to take two numbers from the user and I'm going to add and subtract those two numbers. So I'll just say 10 and 13. Okay, so I got the proper answer for this. So this is my first file. But in my next file, right, I intend to, I'm importing this calc operation because I want to do some other processing operations. Probably in this case I don't want to take input from the user. I have some like I have basically I have a list, for example, and I want to get the sum of the max and min of a list, something like that. This is just an example. So if I have a list, right, I have a list and I want to get a addition of the max and min value of the list, so you can say that. So if I say f max, max of li, right, and f min is equal to min of li. So I have max and min and I want to get addition of these two numbers, and that's why I'm using calc operations. So because I know calc operations has an add function and I don't want to write the add function again. So I want to reuse that add function from the calc operations.py file. So I'll just say f is equal to calc operations, or in this case I'll just say from calc operations import star. Okay, so I don't have to write calc operations everywhere. Like, understand the difference. If I directly write import calc operations, then every time I want to call any function of calc operations, I have to specify calc operations dot add and then say f max f min, max comma f min. Instead of doing that, I can put it as from calc operations import add. This will also work. This should also work. Just going to comment it out for now. Okay. So yeah, so let's try to run this. Print fans.
Priya and Tariq, I'm back. Let me know if anything is needed from my side.
Yeah, sure, Shaina. Okay. So let me just take this and put it before the functions and check. Just going to cut this and paste it here. Save. Okay, I don't think this is getting saved. Let me just copy it. Go back. Open that file again. Okay, so that was calc operations. Yeah, now it has got saved. So yeah, we just go back and open the file that I was working on, which was test file.py. Test file.py. Okay, so yeah, I'll just remove this. And now if I say import calc operations, let's see what happens. Right, so it asks for number. This is the expected behavior. Let me just copy paste this, you know. save this and now execute. Okay, it asked me for number 5. Cool, we'll deal with that later on. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I think the code that I wrote earlier just got deleted, so let me quickly write it back. Say import star. So as we discussed, from calc operations import star, which is going to import all the functions present in the calc operations module. So in this case, I don't want to take any number from the user. I'll just have like a list with some numbers, and I want to add the max and the min of those the values present in the list. So I have f max, which is max of the list, and then I have f min, which is min of the list, and I want to add those two values, but I want to reuse the add function written in calc operations. So I'll say f ans is equal to add. Now I can directly use add instead of writing calc operations dot add, and use f max comma f min. Okay, and let me just print this f ans. Okay, so yeah, great. Yeah, so now what you just noticed is so in this file, when I'm running test file, okay, I just want these things to run, right? I just want these things to run, that's it. Okay, I don't want anything else to run. But when I try to run this, it takes the input from the user, right? Why does it take the input? Because when I'm importing calc operations, when I'm using this from calc operations, which is basically like importing all the functions from the calc operations file, okay, whenever this file is called, right, in the import statement, the whole file will get executed, which means along with this definitions of add and subtract functions, I will also have these numerical inputs from the user, and this addition of the numerical inputs and subtraction of the numerical inputs. Okay, so this part of the code is not what I want to import. I just want to import the variables and the functions. Okay, so this is the actual execution of the file, right? In this, the earlier file, the calc operations file, maybe this is some processing that was happening earlier, but I don't want to process all of this. I just want to get the function definitions that I can use in my test file.py. So for that purpose, what we do is, instead of putting the code like this, I will just say if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to underscore underscore main underscore underscore. Okay, and put everything inside that. I don't think this is indented properly. Let me just indent it. So all of this comes under the if block, so that's why it has to be indented properly. Okay, so yeah, I'll tell you what this means in a just a second. So now when I run testfile.py, okay, it directly gives me 81 as the answer, which is the expected behavior, right? I did not want all the processing part of the calc operations file to be run. I just wanted the functions. Okay, I did not want any other processing part. I did not want this whole num1 num2, all this addition subtraction processing part. Okay, so that's why I put it inside this block called if name is equal to main. Okay, so now we saw just a moment earlier, right, that when I'm executing a certain file, when I'm running, when I'm clicking on this run button while being present on this test file.py, is when underscore underscore name underscore underscore variable would be main, would be main, right? Okay, similarly, when I'm executing this particular file, right, when I'm executing calc operations.py by being on this file, that is, I'm clicking on this run button by being present on this calc operations.py file, is when underscore underscore name would be equal to underscore underscore main, right? In case if this file calc operations file is imported in some other file, then in that case the underscore underscore name variable would be calc operations, would be the module name instead of main, right? So what I'm doing here is, this is basically checking what is the value of underscore underscore name. Okay, and if the value of underscore underscore name is the module name instead of main, that means this file is being imported in some other file, right? And in that case, I don't want the processing part to run. I only want the processing part to run when I'm actually calling this calc operations file, manually calling it, not importing it in some other file, right? So this is what is the function of a main method in Python. Usually you don't require any main method in Python. You can run it with, like, if you have just one file and if you're not using any import statements, in that case main method is not required in Python. You only use main method when you want to separate your importable code from the non-importable code, which means this part of the code, whatever is present inside this if block, that will not be run when you are importing a particular file in some different file. So that is when you require this main function in Python. So let me just go quickly and let's see the theory for the main function. Okay, so main function. This is the starting point for execution. Well, not exactly here. It is not necessary in Python, that is for sure. It's not actually necessary. Even if you don't have a main function in Python, that is totally fine. But when you're running the file, even when you're importing the file, at that point, all the code would be run. But if you want to not run a certain part of the code while importing it, then you can use a main function. Um, okay, I think this is a bit vaguely written. Like, I think the explanation was kind of sufficient. So yeah, this is again fine. I guess so. Yeah, all of this is a bit vague and like for a beginner level kind of explanation. But I hope this is clear to all of you why we are using main function. So since when I imported it, and I imported the file, and when I'm running test py, all the code, all the processing part gets ignored. But the same way, if I run calc operations.py here, right, in this case if I'm running calc operations.py file, then the variable name will have the value main, and the main whatever is present in this if block, right, all of this will get executed. So if I run this, now I'm running calc operations.py, so the name of the variable name will hold the value main, and this will be evaluated to be true. Since this gets evaluated it as true, whatever is present inside of this function, inside this main function, or inside the main code block, gets executed. So I can just say this, and addition and subtraction gets executed. Yeah, so any questions in main function? In the, I mean, it's not main function as such, it's a main code block basically. So let's do one small last topic, which is built-in modules, right? So till now, whatever modules we have seen, we have built it ourselves, right? That's a user-defined modules, right? We created files and we imported those. So those were basically user-defined modules because we defined it. So in this case, calc operations.py is the file that I have written with these two functions. So when I import it in some different file, this becomes like an user-defined module. But similarly, you have certain inbuilt modules as well. So let's take a look at that. Just go back. Okay. So in order to take a look at what all inbuilt modules are present, you can, not sure, I'll just go to the interpreter and see. So in interpreter, you can say help modules. Okay, so this will give you a list of all the modules that are present that you can use, inbuilt modules that are present. Okay, this is not giving in a very proper format. Let's just try to print, check if it works. Okay, the same thing. Okay, it did give me the names of modules. So these are basically inbuilt modules. That means you can import these in your code and you can use these. Most of these, you will have to, whenever you want to import any module and use it, you will first have to check what is it that the module does, what are the functions present in the module. So I think a quick Google search can help in this case. You can, whatever, if you want to go and check what is present inside the pickle module, here you can see, right, pickle module. Yeah, pickle module. So you can go and Google search and check what is the what are the functions that the pickle module can execute for you. So right now I'll give you an example of the math module. So similarly, as we have imported our user defined modules, right, similar in a similar way you can import the inbuilt modules as well. So for say math is a package. Okay, there's a package called math. So the package name is math. Package name is math. So this is a very popular module that probably if you're using Python on a daily basis, you will require for doing mathematical operations. So the package is math, and you have certain modules in it. So some of the modules, like commonly used modules, are square root module, and then you have I think there's a factorial module as well. So these are the functions actually, not modules. Okay. Yeah, so math is not a package name, it's a module name. So you have a module named math, and there are certain functions inside this module. Functions inside this module, like a square root and factorial. And similarly, there are certain variables as well, like pi. Pi is a very popular variable. So you can use all of that by importing the math module. So how to import math module? Simple. You just have to do import math. That's it. Okay, and now you can try out the different functions present in this inbuilt module. So say if you want to print the square root of sqrt, that's how you use a square root. And if you want to get the square root of 16, you just have to say math.sqrt 16, so it gives you 4.0. Right, similarly if you want to print factorial of a certain number, so that also you can say math.factorial. So I hope factorial, you guys know what a factorial means. So let me just go through this. Yeah, so factorial of 6, which will give you an answer of 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So that is what is called a factorial of a certain number. So factorial of 6 should give you the multiplication of all the numbers from 1 to this 6 number. So yeah, so that is also 720. So similarly, you have certain other variables as well. If you want to print the value of pi, that is 3.14, right? Pi. So you can just say math.pi. Pi is a variable inside the math module, so you can directly access it. So print, sorry, parenthesis. Yeah, so you have the value of pi. Then you can also convert radians into degrees and degrees into radians. So that is also one of the functions that you can do using the math module. So this is, I'm converting radians into degrees. So basically 2 radian is equal to around 114.59 degrees, it seems. So that is what it shows. Okay, and you can also do some trigonometric operations with this. So if you want to find the cos or sine or tan of a certain number, so that also you can do using the math module. So you can say cos of, so you have to give the value in radians. Okay, so this is one inbuilt module that you can use, and there is one more inbuilt module called random. So let's try that as well. Import random. So random, as the name suggests. So here you can see the module names are, by the names itself you can find out that what are the functions that would be present inside the module. So math, it is very clear there will be mathematical operations present inside the module, and here in this case random, it gives you a clear impression that there will be some functions in order to generate random numbers. So yeah, let's see. So there's one function you can use, print random dot randint. So randint is basically a function. So you have to give it a starting point and an ending point. So it will give you a random number from 0 to 5, between 0 to 5. So you can see 4 is the number that it gave. So you can use this randint function to get a random integer from the starting value to the ending value. So yeah, next. So if you want to give a random value from 0 to 1, you can use random dot random. So this will give you like a floating point value between 0 and 1, some random floating point value. If you want to get a random value from a list, so even that is possible using this random module. So I'll have a random, I'll have a list with certain values, some random values. Like, so we know that a list can hold values of multiple data types, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm just putting in values of multiple data types in the list. 27 and hello, something like that. And now I'm going to use the random module, one of the functions from the random module, which is called choice. So this will give you a random value from the list. So let's see. Okay, what is the issue here? Then, okay, line number. Just go back. See what is the issue here. Is it because of this choice? Okay. Okay, we'll see it. What was the issue with that one? Okay. We just cut it short and see if this works. Like 80, that's it. Nope, still doesn't work. Okay, I'll get back regarding this. What is the issue here? Okay, this was one more, and there's one more module which is also important sometimes. Inbuilt module called date time. Date time. Okay, so like as the module says, this can be used for getting any date, any particular date, or any particular time. So let's yeah. So I guess you have time as well inside this. Like this is date time would be like a package, I'm assuming, and there is like date and time as modules inside of this. So let's just check. Yeah, date time is a package, and a date and time. So this would be like a package. Date time is a package, and date and time are the modules inside this package. So let's say from date time, import time, right? So if I want to print the current time, so this time would be mostly in milliseconds, so you won't be able to understand like by just seeing it. Okay. Okay. So time is not a part of date time. Time is a separate module. Date time has the date parameter, this date module. So I can say date. Not sure what is present in date. Let me just check date. Okay, it's a of class date time. Let's take time, import time, and let's try to print time. So this basically time dot time is, it will give you the current time. It might be in milliseconds. Yeah, so this you can see the current time is in milliseconds. This is basically the current time passed from a certain like a certain point in the history. I think it's something 1980s or something. So this time gets calculated starting from that point in milliseconds, I guess. So you can use this time dot time in order to get the one example that I can give you for using time dot time is,
Ma'am, I hope you're muted.
Hey Priya. Priya, I guess you are on mute. I don't know if you have intentionally kept it.
Checking what. Uh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I am muted. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Thanks. So we were checking today's date, right? So using this date function, sorry, this date module present in date time package, we can get the today's date using today function. So once we have the date, we can actually get the different parameters of the day. So for example, today.year will give you what is the year, what is today's year, which year are we in, and similarly like today dot month will give you the month we are in, and today dot day would be the day, a date basically. Today dot date. So if I print this, some error. Okay. Okay, this is day, not date. Okay, got it. This is day, not date. So let's print this. So you have 2020, 9 and 29. Okay, so I hope this is clear for everyone. Any questions? Any questions on what we saw today? So basically, we just went through the importing, like how to import like custom build modules, user defined modules that you have created, and then we saw the use of main method. Then later on, we saw the user define, sorry, the inbuilt modules. I think that's it. That's what we saw today. If you have any questions, you can ask either right now or like if you want to revise and ask next time, that is also fine. So I think Shaina, we can end the session today.
Okay, okay. All right, Priya. Thank you so much, Priya, for your time. I just want to check if there are any assignments given today or any
No.
documents. Okay, okay, all
I
right.
mean, yeah, there is nothing
Yeah,
much to
something
give.
you will
Like,
share, right? Yeah.
yeah, cool, cool.
All right, all right. Thank you, students. Thanks for staying, and thank you, Priya, for conducting the session.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Shaina. Bye.
Bye.